Relax. It's ASMR. Hello, everyone. It is time for another video, and I was at work the other day and looked down at my keyboard and realized that I had not cleaned it in quite a while. And the next thought that instantly came to my head was, that sounds like a perfect thing to make a video about. I know I've done several keyboard cleaning videos on this channel, but I don't remember if I've done this type of keyboard before or not. I may have. This is the more current version of Apple keyboards. I've cleaned some others that are more vintage in their design, where the keys actually pop off. I don't know if the keys pop off of this or not, but I will not be doing that to this keyboard. And I don't think it's quite as necessary because of, you can see that there's a metal line that divides all of the keys. Kind of helps catch any kind of debris that may fall down inside of the keyboard, so that if anything does slip down, it's pretty small. But I use this probably more than I use my keyboard at home, because I'm at work most of the day, and part of the time when I'm at home, I'm sleeping, and I do not use my keyboard while I sleep. So maybe it's because I have not seen my keyboard in a while, because I've been working from home, that when I did see it, I realized just how dirty it is. And you can see over here, there's some just general gunk from use and having your hands on it. So I have a little container of 99% pure isopropyl alcohol. It is the same that I use to make my hand sanitizer. And I have a bunch of Q-tips. So let's start the cleaning process. I think I'm going to start over here in this area and kind of just work my way across, starting with the outside metal parts, slowly working my way down. Working the Q-tip in between all of the different keys, taking most of the grime with it, and you can see it was definitely needed. Some love and attention. It's interesting that you often do not see the wear and tear that you create on your own devices, because you're just so used to seeing it. But I do know that when I have to sit down at somebody else's computer to work on them, I notice every little bitty piece of dirt. It's very strange. So if someone else had to sit down to my computer, I know they would probably be thinking the exact same thing. So not only is it good for me to clean it up, but it's good for everybody else too. So get that big portion. I think my hand rests here, kind of just as I'm typing, and I think it tends to just rub off on that area. Just a little bit of oil from my hand over time builds up, and then dirt sticks to it, and more oil builds up, And it's such a slow process that it is hard to recognize until you step away from it for a while. And then you're like, oh my goodness. I should probably also clean my keyboard at home, but it's not quite as bad. This was the one that definitely needed the most attention. This is the hundreds and hundreds of keystrokes and key presses that I do every day. It's probably amazing that it looks as good as it does at this point in time, because I don't know that I have cleaned this ever. I think I've cleaned my personal one a few times. But when you're at work, you're not thinking about things like that, or you don't have time, even if you are thinking about them, to clean. And they do not offer a keyboard cleaning service where I work. I don't even know if that's a thing. Probably wouldn't be good. It's to do it right like this is pretty labor intensive. So if you had a huge office, I imagine it would take a long time to clean everybody's keyboard. By the time you got done, it'd probably be time to do it all over again. Probably be easier just to switch out keyboards and run them through a big dishwasher. I think I horrified someone else in one of my comments on my other keyboard cleaning video when I mentioned the dishwasher. Completely freaked them out. But I imagine you could make a dishwasher safe keyboard. The detergents might be a little strong for it, but that might be relative to how dirty the keyboard is. I imagine if you're in some industries where you're really working with your hands and then have to come back to your keyboard to type up some things, say you're in manufacturing or construction or something, I can imagine those keyboards getting quite dirty and needing quite a bit of scrubbing to bring them back to a nice condition. Okay. See if I can rub off some of this residue here. It's a little streaky. Get around this key right here. It needs some extra attention. I use these keys a lot when I'm nudging something in Illustrator or Photoshop, and you can just hit the keys up and down and move it very slightly if you want. And I do that often when I get something close and I know that the precision of my mouse is probably not going to be that great unless I zoomed way in. So it's easier just to kind of nudge it over a pixel or two with the keys instead of having to zoom in. Okay, it's still a little streaky, but it's definitely cleaner. Let's move on to these other keys on the main keyboard. I use this top row of keys as media controls for like volume and forward and back, and then brightness. I hardly ever use them as actual function keys. I don't know that many people do anymore, unless it's specifically built into a program that they use. But I know originally they were much more programming keys that were made to perform certain shortcuts and stuff when needed. And there's a lot of gunk on that one. I think their location at the very top of the keyboard kind of precludes them from easy, quick access. Most of the shortcuts that I use are keyboard shortcuts that are down here, with like the command or the option key in a combination like that, as opposed to the function keys along the top. I know some games use the function keys to do like screen captures and some specific system wide functions. But I don't use the function keys a whole lot. I mostly just use the media keys. Yeah, there's more gunk between those than you realize. I think the aluminum hides a lot of the gray dirt. It kind of just blends in a little bit. There's a lot of dust on the keys. Okay, let's clean along the bottom now. Gonna start coming over here on this side. Just moving along, scrubbing as we go. But I don't think this dirt has been affecting the performance of the keyboard any, which is good. I think it's just mostly for aesthetic and sanitary purposes that I'm cleaning. Yeah, spacebar is probably one of the most used keys. Even though I don't do typing all the time, it is used in Adobe programs to create the hand that moves the document around inside the window. And I'm always doing that. So, plus it's a play and pause in video editing for the most part. So when I'm doing video editing, I'm also using the space key quite a bit. And the command key here is also used quite a bit. I probably use this one more than this one. Although you can see this control button key is also quite dirty. But I think that's from just having my hand resting on it. That's why that's picked up so much dirt. Probably like this keyboard the best of all the Mac keyboards that I've used. I think it works the best for the type of work that I do. Again, I'm not doing huge, long word processing documents where I'm typing all over the keyboard all the time. I'm using it much more as just a control system for the tools that I'm using. And then just occasionally typing in text where I need to. I guess the way I use the keyboard is much more in conjunction with the mouse, in tandem. The keyboard changes the tool that I'm using, and then the mouse is actually moving that tool on the screen. I have a colleague who is an editor, so she works mostly with text and typing in Word. And she has a very different way of using her keyboard. She uses these keys and the tab key and then I think it's the shift or return, and she can bump either by letter or by word or by paragraph. So she can fly around a word processing document with just a few keystrokes. I was pretty impressed when I saw that. I didn't know that you could have that level of precision inside of a word processing document. But I guess it makes sense. You can tell these keys are definitely pretty dirty, needing lots of attention. Wonder how much psychologically having a clean office and a clean keyboard would help people feel more comfortable in this pandemic. You came into somebody's office and saw that they had a very clean keyboard. I'd imagine it'd have some sort of psychological effect, even though it isn't based in reality. COVID is not a virus that is dependent on cleanliness or lack thereof. But I think in general, people tend to be more at ease in areas that are at least moderately clean and tidy, not complete disaster areas. I think it's a psychological bent that we have. And I think it's all very relative. I think if you went back into like the 1600s and talked about being clean, their idea of what that meant would be very, very different than what we meant. Just because I don't think that the level of cleanliness and sterility that we can achieve was anywhere near a possibility back then. Unless you were royalty and had stone floors and walls and things that could be easily scrubbed and cleaned, as opposed to a rough wooden floor or just a actually packed dirt floor. It's hard to get dirt clean. So I think there is a habituation that they don't even realize because they are enmeshed into it. They are a product of their time. And so we cannot use our standards of cleanliness to judge their standards of cleanliness. If we were in the same position, we would probably quickly adjust ourselves to a more realistic expectation of what we could and could not maintain from a practical level, even though I would like to think that I would make a valiant effort. I don't know if that is realistic. And, give it 100, 200 years, and our progeny may look back at us with the same sort of curious disgust that we look into the past and wonder why we put up with what we put up with. And the reality is that our definition of clean and sanitary and wholesome are affected by many different factors. The primary one being the products that we have available to us, like bleach and Lysol and alcohol and even UV lamps and things like that that can sanitize and protect. But then can also lead to some people feeling like they should be able to have a completely 100% germ-free environment and obsess over cleanliness. But I also suspect that anyone who wants to be cleaner than you are, it's easy to say that they are obsessing about it because they have a lower level of tolerance to that sort of thing, or they have a medical condition which necessitates a highly sterile environment if they have a compromised immune system or something like that. So, I wonder if I can, there's a little bit of yellow here on this cable. Looks much more like a stain than anything. Okay. I think that is a tremendous improvement. What do you think? I think all of the keys are the same shade of very light gray, again. So that is certainly good. I don't think I got these keys over here. Wait them again just one more time. Well, I hope you all are staying safe and watching out for your, I don't know, for lack of a better word, social hygiene, as in maintaining the distance you need to maintain to balance between functioning in this society and protecting your fellow human. It is always a trade-off between those two, because we do not have the privilege of being able to completely hermit ourselves away and oftentimes are not given the choice to do that. So I hope that no matter what situation you find yourself in, that you are being as safe as you can for your sake and for those around you. And that you're able to make a good balance. There is no ideal situation, for sure. Got some kind of something here on the cable. Let's take that off. I think that's just from rubbing against the desk. We are planning on taking a small vacation in a few days. Very short. But we are trying to plan the best way to do that safely. We have rented a house for those days, and we are bringing food with us, which we are going to cook in the house and probably not be going out very much, maybe like to walk in a park or something. It's mostly just to get a change of scenery and to get away from work than to do any kind of specific sightseeing. And it's probably good because it's getting a little cooler. So some activities will not be as fun as they were in the summer or the spring. So we've been trying to strike that balance as well. We'll see how it goes. But it'll be good just to get away. And hopefully just unplug from social media, from the news, from everything that is constantly bombarding us. Take a deep breath, read some books, hopefully eat some good food, and relax. Which is what I hope this video has helped you do, is just to kind of take a pause, take a deep breath, and relax. enjoy a nice clean keyboard. With nice tippy tappy sounds. Tippy tappy, tippy tappy, tippy tippy, tippy, tappy tappy, tappy tappy tappy. So I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Try to help my videos spread across YouTube at least a little bit. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I will be bringing you much more relaxing ASMR sleepy content to help you lower your heart rate, feel some tingles, and de-stress your life. So thank you all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.